friends, it's been a hot minute and I think it's time we catch up on everything that I read in the month of September. Let's jump in. So it's been so long that I actually felt awkward sitting down and setting up this whole camera thing and my microphone, making sure that it was charged, all of that fun stuff, but I needed a little bit of a break. I was posting a crazy amount over the summer between vlogs, regular videos, and live streams. And I just needed some time to decompress because I've had other stuff going on in my life, which I will talk about at the end of this video. But I wanted to recap you on everything that I read in the month of September. I had a really good reading month. As always, it was a mix between physical and audiobooks. I read more physical books, I think, in the month of September than I have throughout the rest of the year because I needed to get new glasses, which I finally did, and it just all came about at the right time. So let's jump into all of the books that I read in the month of September, even though it is nearing the end of October. The first book that I finished in the month of September was one that I had started in August, and that is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. I ended up really loving this book. I struggled with it for the first little bit. It is definitely an epic fantasy. It read more like a history book to me, which a lot of people told me going in, which honestly, because my background is in history, I'm a former historian, I think that that wasn't the worst thing for me. I really liked the character work that he did in this book. I am excited to carry on with the series. However, because book one felt almost conclusive in a way, I haven't felt that dying urge to jump into book two. I'm eager to jump into book two, but I haven't felt that just unending nagging in my brain of what happens next, what happens next. But I have some thoughts about a particular character in this book, and I have a feeling she's gonna take a turn and become a villain. And honestly, I'm here for it. So I'm excited to see where that goes. The next book I read was for the Fantasy Awash with Laura and Josh Book Club for the month of September, and that was Pure and Essie by Susanna Clark. This was a reread for me, and do I love this book. I cannot say enough good things about this book. I gush about this book to whomever will listen to me. I basically talk into the void of the internet about this book all the time. I did this book in its physical format last year and I did the audio book this year. Both are magnificent. It's such a short read, but it is such an evocative read. It just ebbs and flows into my soul. It feels like this story. I don't know what it is about it, if it is the spiritualistic nature of the book, if it is the concept of what's real, what's not, the concept of playing with memories, time, space. Honestly, there's so much in this book and it's just so beautifully written. I feel connected to Pure and Essie on so many levels. I feel intrigued by the world that he left behind and intrigued by the world that he found. And there's a lot that I would like to say about this book, but this is a non-spoilery video, so I can't. But if you are curious about my spoilery thoughts, you can go check out the live that I did with Josh. I then wanted to jump back into a romantasy because it felt like it had been a little bit of time, and I had this book sitting on my shelf, and I was trying to read my home library because we've expanded our home library. I love it, it's beautiful, and I wanted to read the books that I already own. So I read A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. Honestly, like, I love the edges here. This was my first book by Danielle L. Jensen, and my understanding is that she was an indie author, and this was her first traditionally published book. It is going to be a duology. It is Saga of the Unfated, book one. I ended up really liking this book. I have Norse heritage, if it's not clear by the translucent shade of my skin, but I ended up really liking this. I like books that have a Norse setting. I don't know if it's something in just of my genetics calling me home in a way, but I really like the setting for this world, even though that it's not our world. It felt very Norse inspired. It has similar-ish regions, clans, earls, gods, skulls, all that type of thing. So I really liked it. I thought the banter in this book was very enjoyable between the two love interests. Freya is the protagonist in this book. I can see how some people might have a few issues with this book, but honestly for me, I really enjoyed it. I don't know also if it was a right book, right place, right time for me, but it hit, and that was all I could ask it to do, so I enjoyed it. The next two books I did as audiobooks, and there is a very distinct reason, and that is because these two books are by Julia Whalen, who is on her regular day job an audiobook narrator, and she is incredible. She narrates all of Emily Henry's books, and if you've been around here before, you know I love my girl Emily Henry, so I could not pass up the opportunity to listen to two books narrated by the fabulous Julia Whalen. Those two books were Thank You for Listening and My Oxford Year. Thank You for Listening was a book that I read or listened to for a book club that I am a member of at my local library, and I loved it. Honestly, it was such a good book. I had such a good time. She gives such a great background of the world of audiobooks, specifically for romance audiobook narrators. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was so interesting. She also gave her characters depth and dimension. There was great representation of this book in terms of disability and people of color, which is something that we don't really get a lot of in literature in general, especially in a contemporary romance. So I super enjoyed that. Plus the banter in that book, oh, phenomenal, 10 out of 10. Honestly, it might be the best banter that I've ever read in a book. It was so good. Oh, I loved it. Which then prompted me to immediately go and read any other book that she had written, which was My Oxford Year, which was semi-autobiographical. Both of her books are semi-autobiographical. We got there in the end. And honestly, I loved this one too, but for completely different reasons. It's not your traditional contemporary romance. It's not the book that's gonna fill you with all the warm and fuzzies, gushy, mushy love story. It is sad. And it is real in many ways. And I loved it for that. Did it have me crying for a good 6 hours? Yes, it did. Did I look puffy and gross? Yep. Did I care? No. The next book was a reread for me, and that was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I didn't actually read my Mina Lena copy. I did the audiobook for this one with Stephen Fry, and I gotta say, as much as I love Stephen Fry, the audiobook just didn't work for me. I did not enjoy myself as much as I usually do on a Harry Potter reread, so that was a bit disappointing, and I think that's probably in part just because I have such a distinctive voice for the characters in my head, because it's been there for, decades. And as much as I love Stephen Fry, like I said, it just doesn't fill me with the same awe and wonder as picking up the physical copy. Plus, like, the Mina Lima editions have so much fun stuff inside that you don't get with an audiobook. And that's not to say that the audiobook isn't very good. And I'm sure people love the audiobooks more. I'm happy for you. I am thrilled that they exist because obviously they need to, but I just didn't feel the same magic that I normally do when I read it. So going forward with the rest of the series, I will be reading them in their physical formats. The next book I read was a YA, and it surprised me because YA has been surprising me. If I'm gonna take away anything from this year other than the fact that I love romantasy, because who knew? It's that I also really like where YA is going in a lot of its stories. Even though this isn't necessarily a brand new book, I read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, and honestly, I had a phenomenal time with this book. It is such a sweetly written book. It is endearing, charming. All of the words that you want to give to describe this book pretty much are positive words, and I really liked the way she set it up. It is not lore heavy in terms of the world in book one. It is very character driven, which is something that I very much appreciated. I liked the little bits of magic that we get in this story. I honestly really loved the relationship that she set up in this story. I am very intrigued to go on to book two. It is a duology. I think we're entering a period of duologies in fantasy, and that's not a bad thing. I think that we could do with shorter stories a lot of the time, especially in the YA genre. I think that that's a good place to have them. But I really liked her style of writing, and I am intrigued to read more of her stuff. I'm intrigued to read book two. I know that this is a YouTube book talk darling for a lot of people, and I think there is a good reason. If you are looking to try YA, I think this might be a good option for you. I then don't have my physical copy, but I did physically read this because I got it from my local library. I read another book by Danielle L. Jensen called The Bridge Kingdom, and this was her, I think, first foray into her published works. The Bridge Kingdom, I think, is a 5-book series, but it's made up of duologies along the way, which I thought was really interesting. I really liked The Bridge Kingdom, which is now being republished with her same publisher, I believe, that did A Fate Inked in Blood. So that's been really great. The new covers are also just gorgeous. Oh, what beautiful covers. If you're looking for a cover buy, go buy Bridge Kingdom. But I really liked this story, this setup. It was not what I would expect from a romantasy in our current romantasy settings, where a lot of it is Fae inspired, which I am also of that ilk because I wrote a book with Fae in it and everything else. It's mostly humans, and Lara is our main character, and she has been trained her whole life to go infiltrate the neighboring kingdom who controls the bridge, and the bridge controls trade, which means it controls all the money and income. I really loved this. I'm excited to go on to book 2. I personally thought I was better than A Fate Inked in Blood, and I really enjoyed A Fate Inked in Blood. So it turns out that Danielle L. Jensen is a new author that I really love, which is great because I love finding new authors that I really connect to their work, especially when they've got a backlog of books that I am eager to read. The next book was a reread, and it was Butcher and Blackbird. Did I read the physical copy? No, I did not, but I wanted to hold it up so you could see it so I didn't have to do more editing and put a picture up of this book, because the audiobook for that book is so phenomenal. I wanted to read Butcher and Blackbird again. It felt perfect and appropriate for the season. Plus, the banter in that book, I love me some Rowan and Sloane. They are phenomenal characters. Bryn Weaver did such a good job with this book. It is so fun, so unique, so different, so weird, so cringy, and so horrifying at times that I absolutely love it. It is consistently a 5 out of 5 book for me. I'll probably reread it every year. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I've talked about this book at length. I have said many, many things about it, and I will continue to sing its praises probably forever. Now, the last book I read was actually my library book club book for October that I ended up missing because I am getting over the flu. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I'm still happy I read it. It's called Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne. I thought this was a fun book. I did the audiobook for this, and I really liked the narrator. I thought she did a good job. It details the life of Angelica Frankenstein, who is the sister of our famous Victor Frankenstein, who is desperately trying to reanimate someone in order to make a scientific discovery and make his name known. Angelica has become known as the spinster of her local village at the very old age of 24 years old and is desperate for a husband, so she decides she's going to reanimate one. If you are able to put aside complete disbelief and just enjoy a book, then it's a fun read. It's appropriate for the season. It's fun for fall. I enjoyed it. Is it something that I'll probably go back and read it again? No. Am I still happy that I read it? Yes, I am. So in terms of what's been going on with me on the back end of things, I ended up taking a really wonderful and needed vacation with Josh. We went to England for about 8 days. It was great. We got to go into the wilderness of Dartmoor, which the moors are my possibly favorite place that I've ever been to. I love being there. They are desolate, eerie, just quiet. They're quiet. And after the last several years, I have desperately felt like I needed quiet. If you are familiar with me at all and you know a little bit of my backstory, you know that I've had a few brain injuries over the last several years. The last time that Josh and I had gone to England was before any of my injuries had happened. And I fell in love with that place, Dartmoor specifically, when we were there last time. And beyond having a couple of brain injuries, my husband and I then went through IVF, which was a whole ordeal. And very luckily we have a now just nearing 2.5-year-old daughter. But my life has been very chaotic and loud and not my own for the last 6 years, and I really wanted to go somewhere quiet and peaceful and someplace that I could disconnect and recharge, not only for myself but with my husband. And we took this trip and it was beautifully needed. Being back in Dartmoor for me was just a place of pure joy, pure peace and relief, and it was a place that offered me solace and a place that I was able to experience gratitude. So I was very happy to go back and be there for a little bit of time. I also have been working on the back end of getting my book organized because I decided to independently publish my book. And this isn't the final copy because it's not the final cover. If I can have all my pile of stuff not falling over here. But I have a mock-up copy of my book. It has my words in here. They are not my edited words yet. They are still with my line editor, but this is about the size that my book is going to be. This is also the cover that Amazon KDP gave me. I came up with a title for my book. It's called The Forgotten Dawn. It's going to be coming out in June of 2025. It could come out earlier, honestly, but I think June is a good time for me to work on marketing, which has been a whole other thing. Marketing for indie books is, it's a beast of its own, which leads me to the topic of TikTok, because I had to start a TikTok, and I've been posting on Instagram and Threads, and I started a Facebook page. It's been a whole thing, and it's been a really interesting, sometimes frustrating process, because of course all of the work falls to you, and you want people to love your book and to be able to find your book. So that's been a big thing. I also have been working with a beautiful cover artist, Yen, and she has come up with the most beautiful cover. I'm so excited for you all to see it. Honestly, it's just gorgeous. Oh, I'm so excited. I wanted a custom cover for this book. It does not look like a traditional romantasy cover in that it's not covered in skulls and thorns and roses and all that kind of stuff. It has a very unique personality of its own, colors, story to tell. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it, and I'm excited to show it to you all. But that's basically where I've been and what I've been doing. And I mean, there's other things on the back end that, of course, like, everyone's always got something going on. And I, after having my daughter, developed an autoimmune. I already had an autoimmune. I developed another one. I developed a hypothyroidism, and it's something that I have not been able to get under control, despite seeing many doctors. I'm going to see another doctor in a couple of weeks, and it causes crippling fatigue for me. So I go through bursts where I'm able to be very productive and other bursts where I'm not so able to. But I like to be transparent with people to let you guys know that that's kind of what's going on with me. Also because other people are dealing with similar stuff, and to let you know that you're not alone. Because I wanted to know that I wasn't alone when I was going through my stuff. So that leads me to here, which is, I've missed you guys. I'm hoping to be a little bit more active again, hopefully soon. It's been a lot trying to balance short content for TikTok, long content for YouTube, having a life with my daughter, with my husband, writing, being productive, going through editing, cover art, all the stuff, and then just extra life stuff on top of everything else. It can be a lot at times. And I have to remind myself sometimes that I'm very privileged that I get to be able to do these things, because I was able to write a book. And I am immensely proud of that. I am really excited to get the final version done. My line editor believes that she will be done at the end of October, which means that I can make the final edits, hopefully, on the manuscript. I can put the book together, and then I can put together an ARC team. So if you are interested in being an ARC reader for a book one of a romantasy series, you can go to my website and sign up for my newsletter, because that is going to be where people hear about it first and foremost. And yes, I also made a website. It's been a lot going on lately. It's been a lot, but it's all been good for the most part. It's all been good. So thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. I hope you are excited about the cover reveal and everything else. I am so excited to show it to you. If you would like to help support the channel, I have a Patreon where we have a book club. I will link that down below. If you would also like to help support me here, you can hit like and subscribe. That always helps. Leave a comment to help boost that algorithm. If you want to come find me on TikTok, Instagram, all that fun stuff too, the information, as always, is in the box down below. Once again, thank you so much for coming to spend your time with me. I appreciate it more than you know, and I hope that you will come share your time with me when my book is out. As always, stay safe, stay lovely, and keep reading, and I'll see you next time.